Good evening, friends. Tonight, instead of a song, I have a spine tingling story to share with you. A tale of horror that will chill your bones and leave you questioning the very nature of music and creativity. I let the anticipation build, then began strumming my guitar, weaving a haunting melody to set the tone for the story. It all began a few months ago. I was a struggling musician, trapped in the throes of writer's block, desperate to find inspiration for my next song. I tried everything, changing locations, listening to different genres, even going on long walks to clear my mind. But nothing seemed to work. One night, as I lay awake in bed, frustration gnawing at my soul, I had an idea, a dangerous idea born of desperation. I'd heard whispers of musicians tapping into otherworldly realms for their art, using ancient rituals or bizarre practices to summon their muse. At the time, it seemed like a far-fetched notion, the stuff of urban legends. But at this point, I was willing to try anything just to get out of the rut. I scoured the darkest corners of the internet, digging through obscure forums and dusty tomes until I stumbled upon a strange ritual. It promised to open a channel to the depths of the subconscious mind, unlocking a wellspring of creativity. The instructions were vague and cryptic, written in a language that seemed to slither and writhe as I wrote it on a page. But I was too desperate to heed the warnings. At the stroke of midnight, I lit a single candle and sat cross-legged on the floor of my dimly lit studio. The shadows danced and flickered, casting eerie shapes on the walls. I closed my eyes and began to chant the guttural incantation, my voice low and raspy. The words felt foreign on my tongue, like a language long forgotten, a relic of a bygone age. As the final syllable left my lips, a chill ran down my spine. The air seemed to grow thick and heavy, pressing down on me from all sides. I opened my eyes, and for a moment, the world around me seemed to shift and contort, as if reality itself had been twisted into a nightmarish parody. Then, without warning, a melody began to take shape in my mind. It was unlike anything I'd ever conceived before, haunting, ethereal, and utterly captivating. The notes wove through the air like whispering tendrils, curling and undulating with an otherworldly grace, weaving themselves into a tapestry of sound that threatened to consume me whole. My fingers moved of their own accord, plucking the strings of my guitar, bringing the cursed tune to life. I played for what felt like an eternity, lost in the hypnotic rhythm, my mind a blank canvas upon which the notes danced their macabre ballet. When I finally came to, sweat beaded on my brow, and the candle had burned down to a mere stub. The shadows seemed to have grown longer, stretching across the room like grasping claws. An eerie silence hung in the air, as if the very walls were holding their breath. In the days that followed, that melody consumed my every waking thought. I found myself humming it constantly, the haunting refrain echoing in the depths of my mind. It was as if the song had taken root, a mesmerizing enchantment that wove itself into the fabric of my being. I knew I had to record it, to share it with the world. Perhaps then, its ethereal allure could touch others as it had touched me. Little did I know, I was about to unleash a power whose consequences would ripple through countless lives. With trembling hands, I began recording the track, pouring every ounce of emotion into the performance. As the final note faded, I was struck by a profound sense of unease, as if something is amiss. Something dark and unknowable was laying its gaze upon me. But the song was definitely a masterpiece, a haunting and sublime work of art, and like a moth drawn to a flame, I couldn't resist the urge to share it. I uploaded it to all the major streaming platforms, watching with bated breath as it slowly gained traction. At first, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Critics raved about the song's haunting beauty and emotional depth. Fans flooded my social media, praising the song and begging for more, utterly captivated by its enchanting melody. It will change the world, they said. Oh, change it did. The messages from fans singing praises took a dark turn. Reports began trickling in, stories that chilled me to my very core. Give me a moment. I paused, taking a sip of water to wet my dry mouth. The crowd leaned forward, hanging on my every word. I continued. People began reporting strange occurrences after listening to the song. Nightmares plagued their sleep, vivid and terrifying visions that left them drenched in sweat and paralyzed with fear. They spoke of shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their vision, disappearing the moment they turned their gaze. At first, I tried to brush it off as overactive imaginations, the product of suggestible minds. But the reports kept pouring in, each more disturbing than the last. Some claimed to hear whispers in the night, disembodied voices calling to them from the shadows, beckoning them to surrender to the darkness. Others reported unexplained injuries, deep gashes and bruises appearing on their bodies overnight, as if they had been attacked by some unseen force. I received photographs that turned my stomach, flesh torn and mangled, streaked with crimson. A few even went missing without a trace, their loved ones left to wonder what dark fate had befallen them. Frantic searches turned up no clues, no hints as to their whereabouts. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. I shuddered. All these incidents had a single common attribute. They had all heard my song. It was then that I realized the terrible truth. My song had become a vessel for something sinister, a conduit through which an evil entity could seep into our world. A malevolent entity that seeks nothing but darkness, human suffering, and despair. I tried to take the song down, to erase it from the internet, and undo the damage I had wrought. But it was too late. The melody had taken on a life of its own, spreading like a virus through the airwaves and infecting all who heard it. The reports grew more dire with each passing day. Entire families were found dead in their homes, their bodies contorted in expressions of sheer terror. Strange symbols were etched into the walls, archaic sigils that seemed to pulse with an unholy energy. The scenes were straight out of a nightmare, a glimpse into the abyss that had been unlocked. I became a pariah, shunned and reviled by those who had once praised my work. Rumors spread that I had consorted with dark forces, that I had willingly opened a doorway to the abyss. People followed me wherever I went, accusing eyes burning into my back. I tried to warn them, to make them understand that I was a victim too, a mere pawn in a cosmic game of chess played by forces beyond our comprehension. But my pleas fell on deaf ears, drowned out by the growing chorus of fear and hatred. As I stand here before you tonight, I can't help but feel a profound sense of guilt and regret. I unleashed a force beyond my control, all in the pursuit of artistic expression. And now the world teeters on the brink of oblivion, the shadows closing in, hungry for the souls of the living. So I implore you, my friends, heed my warning. Do not seek out the shadows, no matter how beautiful or captivating it may seem. For once they take root in your mind, there is no turning back. The shadows are watching, waiting for their chance to strike. And before you find them, they will find you. I let the final haunting chord ring out, the melody fading into silence. The bar was deathly quiet, the patrons frozen in stunned awe, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and fascination. A few exchanged nervous glances, as if wondering if I spoke the truth. A sinister smile broke on my face. And now, my dear listeners, you have all heard this song too. I stepped away from the microphone and made my way off the stage, walking toward the exit amidst the audience that was paralyzed with fear, processing what I had just said. However, as I made my way off the stage, I couldn't help but feel a dark satisfaction. They were now entwined with this melody, just as I am, and there was no escape from its enchanting grip.